Good evening and welcome back to another episode of Coach's Corner. So for tonight's episode, I would like to have a conversation about a still an ongoing conversation online on social media about a little meme that I wrote the other day about changing one of those change my mind memes, and the conversation's still ongoing over private messenger. And that's great. I love people to engage and to ask the tough questions, to have the tough conversations that society needs to have. So, anyways, this conversation is about the essentialness of government and of certain employees. And I do want to start out with saying that I definitely agree with the prevailing opinions that have been offered in that military is an essential function of the government. In fact, I've argued before, I firmly believe that military, the protection of citizens and the protection of property is actually the only morally justifiable reason for government to exist at all. That being said, I'd like to talk about a couple of things. I'd like to move to a discussion of religion, actually. I want to start with a clean slate. This is something I don't talk about openly unless people ask. I'm honest about it, but I don't bring it up. But so this will be for subscribers only and two other people that I've promised this to. I'm not religious. I consider myself agnostic because ultimately, when asked the question about God or religion or whatever, my answer is I don't know. I'm a person that I accept and acknowledge demonstrable evidence, information. I want to see it, touch it, feel it, smell it, hear it, and I don't think that there's enough proof. It's a faith. Every religion is faith-based, okay? And I like to know. I like to be able to acknowledge things, and so I consider myself agnostic. I don't know. I do. If you press me, I do believe that there's probably some higher power. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me how the universe came to be without something that we have trouble explaining. As a side note, I would like to say that atheism is a little bit of a pet peeve of mine. I don't understand for the life of me why people would consider themselves to just know that there is no God. To me, it's the least intelligible conclusion about religion that the world has to offer. To simply usher your belief towards there is no God. That I don't understand that at all. There's not. If I'm in a position to say there's not enough evidence that He exists or doesn't exist, it's very tough to find any evidence that would suggest that He doesn't exist or it or whatever. So to put your foot down on that particular point, I don't understand that one at all. Anyways, moving on. I want to liken the essentialness of government to religion. That's ultimately what I'm getting at. So let's start with this and say that even though I'm agnostic, I absolutely see the benefits, the positives of organized religion as our species has developed. I want to say that I do believe that of all the major religions, Christianity has easily surpassed the others in catching up with modern civilization. It's been thousands and thousands of years since Christianity did a series of mass terrible things, and that's still ongoing in some other religions. I think it's very clear that societies that have kept themselves mostly free but have been Judeo-Christian based have been far more successful as we've evolved, and I think that's a demonstrable point. Islam, I believe, is stuck, and I'm not sure that based on their written philosophy, their written commands by their higher powers, I'm not sure that it is capable of advancing. So I do have concerns there. Now, that being said, I want to offer another positive. A friend of mine, another subscriber, shared an article a few days ago that I also read, and I found it very interesting. I'd heard about it, but I read in great detail. During the middle of World War I, while soldiers were actually in the trenches shooting at each other, once Christmas came around, they were sneaking secret notes between camps, and they came to a Christmas Day truce in the middle of being in the trenches, literally firing at each other. All because they had a shared common, men were men, and they understood that there was this brotherhood. It didn't matter who was a socialist, or what their orders were, who was a communist, what those orders were, or who was a fascist, or what those orders were. The common belief in Christ, in religion, in Christianity, in a peaceful season yielded a peaceful result. And I think that as we evolve, you see that more and more. More peaceful results, and particularly as in certain communities. Anyways, here's where I believe that government is essential. Okay? It's not in the everyday functions of the people we employ in any given government role. It's not the legislation. It's not the regulation. It's not the border patrol or the policing or the military. It's not those actual functions. I don't believe any of those are actually essential to a healthy, thriving, and peaceful and prosperous society. I think that we believe that they are. And the power of belief, as shown through other religion, I think has crept into statism and this upholding of the state in a religious light. And if it's mitigated, it's not a problem. People simply want to believe that a larger entity, a higher power, a common brotherhood, is going to be there for them in times of need. To me, it's an unfortunate development in human society, especially in modern society after we've had some test examples along the way, that we've arrived at this place where this large mass, this large collective does look to the state as the provider, as the distributor, as the doer of good things, of things that we do together. It's been phrased like that several times. That's an unfortunate thing to me, because I don't believe that you can actually make a case that any one person performing any government-employed task is actually there doing something that society needs to be done through a third-party entity. I don't think that's the case at all, and I think it's a demonstrable thing, and no matter which segment of society we look at, be it economically or spiritually. I don't think that that's going to yield positive results if we continue to creep down that path. But I do believe, I hate that word too, believe, I prefer acknowledge or accept. But anyways, I do think that the state, a government, is a necessary evil. It's necessary for it to exist in our current state as humans, simply because of the power of belief. So many millions of people believe that it's there for them, that even just believing that they will be there for them, even if they don't show up when it's time to be there at the moment of need, it's an important factor in our species' evolutionary history. The development of belief in our species has been an ongoing and powerful force, and I think that that's the only really good case that I could make that government should exist at all. It really is. That's really all I have to say about this. I wanted to keep this short and sweet, but if you'd like to continue this conversation, as always, feel free. Message me, private message me, call me, text me, whatever. Anyways, hope you found this thoughtful. Enjoy your evening.